What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Bolero Sam here with the Sultan of Sando, Mr. Gab Lim, and Maui Up. What's up, guys?
Matagal-tagal. We're back.
We're
We
back.
took a break. We took a break.
Kailangan magpahinga sa sunod-sunod na videos ang Gilas.
Ng
Sunod-sunod.
Gilas,
Yeah.
grabe, napagod ako doon, guys. Pero
Oo.
masaya naman yun. And we have to come back kasi a
Masaya.
few...
Quote-unquote. Pero malungkot
See you in
tayo.
November, Gilas.
Masaya. See you in November. Oo nga, no? But we're back. We're back with UAAP content kasi in just a few weeks, we're going to have UAAP basketball again, season 88. Excited na tayo. So we'll ramp up our UAAP discussions in time for season 88. So for today's episode, siguro nakita nyo na sa title, we're going to fill in the blank. We're going to answer, if you were the UAAP, blank. So very open-ended to. Any ideas, any suggestions for the UAAP, you can share. For those listening sa podcast right now, comment down below your thoughts also or your answers. We'd love to hear them. And then isisend namin sila sa UAAP officially. Hindi, joke lang. Hindi naman kami affiliated or anything. So, processing lang. So let's get started.
We haven't done this segment in 2 years. Nalala ko after season 8.
Did we skip it last year?
I think we
Talaga?
skipped
Hindi ko
it.
na maalala.
Or at least we did it before. I forgot it.
Before,
Basta
yeah.
after season 86, we did one of
I think
these. So now we're doing it again.
I think we did it right after 86, di ba? Hindi parang before 87 or something like that. I think it was right after a season. Anyway, let's get started. Why don't we start with Maui Yap?
My first, if I were the UAP thing is, if I were the UAP, I would intervene or I would help the players, the field foreigners, get their papers as not as a naturalized Filipino but as a naturally born Filipino. Kasi for me, it doesn't make sense. It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense
I
that
love
they play
this.
as locals. They play as locals in the
I love
UAAP. Yet, they cannot suit up for the national team. Diba? I'm talking about the likes of Zave Lucero, Mike Phillips, and
Balungay.
so many. Balungay, the list will forever go on. Even if you look at yung lineups like right now, players like Tuano, diba, will not be able to suit up for the
Chris
national
Kuhn.
teams. Chris Kuhn, who is, I think, questionable to play for the national team. I would make this a priority. Why? Why would the UAAP, if I were you would ask, why would the UAAP even entertain such an idea? For me, it boils down to the draw it brings. Diba? When you see players like Kevin Chambao play for the national team, it's good for the league. Diba? The talent level of players is elevated, number one. Number two, yung pool of people watching the UAAP will not only be those people who went to UP, those people who went to Ateneo, diba? It will be a national thing. Similar to the US, diba? You have people even here. We have people, for example, I have friends who watch the NCAA in the States and are, let's say, watching Duke or watching UNC or Kansas, diba? That we will have the sky's the limit when you talk about the league's popularity. If they prioritize this type of ruling, and I would think more players would want to play in the UAAP. Diba? I think if I'm reading it correctly, I was talking to one of my cousins. A lot of players want to play for the Philippines sa SEA Games. Sila Remy Martan, a lot of players who are not eligible for Gilas to play for FIBA sanctioned games. I think si Balungay also expressed interest if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I would think it would be for the greater good of the league, greater good of the basketball landscape, not just in the UAP but the whole country, and for the fans, diba? We'll be able to watch our players even in the off season. Remember, we can only watch the UAAP from September to October, but if more players suit up for the national team, then it's gonna be more exciting. Diba? you can see, like me, for example, I'm not from LaSalle, but I'm a huge KQ fan because he plays for the national team. I'm a huge Tamayo fan, but I'm not from UP. So that would really bolster yung popularity ng league, and of course yung competition, which we all want.
I love this answer, Maui, because I had this. I had this on my list. Exactly the same. Sabi ko, if I were the UAAP, I would just take over handling yung pagkuha ng paperwork ng Phil Forens para we can help them prepare for Gilas. Kasi yun naman din yung trajectory na gusto natin, di ba? Or gusto nila. A lot of people want to play for Gilas. It's also like adding to your resume if you represent a country, di ba? Philippines, most of the Phil foreigners are probably from the US, from Canada, but still representing a country in international
Plus, it
basketball.
helps them get contracts abroad.
Abroad, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
That's another big plus for the
I
players.
even imagined, no, how this could also happen is, alam mo yung mga stats pag nag-free throw, tapos parang, eto joke lang to pero yung mga stats pag nag-free throw, tapos nandun, kapag mag-free throw yung mga Phil Foreign, got his passport at 14 years old. Ganun yung mga stats, parang, eligible to, alam mo na agad, di ba? Pero wala nang
Pampahype pala
wala.
yung mga ticker dun.
Pampahype, di ba? Kasi, minsan naman, parang may fun fact lang di ba? So, pag Phil Foreign, passport at 12 years old, ganyan. Para malinaw na rin. Like, we know who are eligible, who are not. But, more importantly, like, tama ka, Maui, it's someone, a body that should be able to help these Phil Foreigners um, fix the paperwork. Kasi parang doon nahirapan, 'di ba? I mean, look at QMB. He had to hire lawyers to appeal and fight for his case kasi he knew he was eligible, and fortunately the lawyers were able to help him, and now he's eligible. So imagine if we can do that for all the Phil foreign players who want to play for Gilas or for the Philippine team. I love this idea. 100% agree. Gab.
Yeah, and yung sabi ko ito, it might help get Phil foreigners at an earlier age. Except imbis na yung mga one and done lang, diba? Imagine if the deal was like if someone was recruiting, let's say, QMB earlier. Hey, the deal is you come transfer to UP, for example, but we're gonna help you fix your paperwork, so you're gonna be eligible to play for a national team. But after that, you're gonna be eligible to play for other leagues in Asia, B League,
Good
for
point.
example,
Yeah.
which requires the FIBA eligibility. I think that's a more attractive option for these Phil foreigners because a lot of the Phil foreigners, especially those one and dones we see here in the UAAP, they come because they kind of exhausted their options already in the US or in any other country. Parang, okay, I can't make it anymore to the G League, I can't make it to the NBA, hindi ko na kaya.
Parang last resort pa no?
Oh, the Philippines is kind of a last resort na for these Phil foreigners, no? But if you give them an additional option that, hey, if you come here, you play 1 to 2, more than 1 to 2 years, or even just 1 to 2 years, and you're gonna be FIBA eligible for the Philippines, you could probably get a decent living, a decent contract here in Asia. You may not make it into the big leagues in the United States, but here in Asia, the competition is I would say less competitive than in the United States. So I can see where Maui is going with this. I don't see it happening in the foreseeable future. Given
It's a dream.
Wishful
Oh,
thinking.
it's wishful thinking, which is the point of this segment, no? The if you were the UAAP. Pero it would be nice, no, if the UAP can do something like that. I mean, they have the academic prowess of the top universities in the country. So I'm guessing we have a ton of brain power to make this work and to pull this off, So wishful thinking, I don't see this happening, but you definitely at the top of my list. Can I go next? I do have something I want to get off my chest. If I were the UAAP, the first thing that I would really do is to stop discriminating against FSAs or foreigners in general. Diba? It's
Very
continued.
vocal ka about this.
Yeah,
Yes.
kasi I'm very vocal sa because it's continued for ever since season 84. Season 84, I think it started, diba? Remember the Mythical Five
Yung
when
calculation, yeah. Okay.
yeah, no, majority were FSAs. I think si Mike Phillips lang ata yung hindi FSA. Then for season 85, they banned, di man banned, but they only allowed only one FSA to get to get into the Mythical Five. So I'm like,
Kaya si Ange wala.
yeah, yung kaya si Ange wala nung season 85, it's only Malik because he was a top FSA. But I find it stupid. I mean, if you're gonna base the Mythical Five on and the MVP on statistical points, and based on statistical points is the FSAs who should be winning and making the Mythical Five, why are you preventing them from not making it? The only reason I have heard so far from a bunch of old heads is hindi maganda tignan na puro foreigners ang Mythical Five. And I'm like, who the hell cares? Diba? Kung di maganda tignan. Sila yung deserving eh. Sila yung players who performed well throughout the season. Why not give them the award? Just because they're foreigners, hindi sila pwede makakuha ng Mythical 5 selection. What the hell? So that was first. Second, we talked about this. This was a topic on Boleros back in season 85 when a few of our viewers were watching. They adjusted the MVP statistical points calculation. Diba? They doubled the value of assist and steals for no other reason. Assist and steals are not more valuable than points. They're not more valuable than blocks, rebounds. It doesn't make sense. It only makes sense because they want to filter the statistical points toward the smaller players, the guards. That's why you saw the likes of Aforsky Padrigao in season 85 top the MVP rankings after round 1. Diba? Because he was piling on assists and steals. It does not make sense. Again, tilting it away from FSAs. And you go on and on. Most recently, they banned FSAs from winning MVP. Collins Okowe, who was in line to win the MVP for the boys division, was suddenly cut off. You cannot win you cannot win MVP, but we'll create a new
Best
award
import.
for you. Best
FSA.
Essentially the best import, which I don't get. What? It's because the FSAs have won some consecutive number of yung MVPs. Again, so what? They were the
Parang
best.
may ibang ligang ganun dun ah.
Oo nga eh. Diba, Maui? Sounds familiar, diba? Diba? But para sa akin talaga, so what? If the FSAs, based on your parameters that the UAAP set, the statistical points formula, if they were the ones who topped it, they should have it. Players are players. It doesn't matter if they're Filipino, it doesn't matter if they're foreigners. They should be treated the same way. We're gonna get into this in season 88. Some of the top rookies are FSAs. Colin Sokowe, Divine Adili. What, they're gonna make the best rookie FSA award para lang hindi manalo ang FSA for season 88? Is this where we're having separate awards for FSAs every season? Is that where we're headed? So I don't like this. No, it doesn't look right. Actually it's not right. It doesn't look good at all that the Filipinos' egos are so fragile that we have to prevent FSAs from winning awards instead of us. Diba? So I don't agree with this. This has been a very how should I say this? A sensitive topic for me, a sensitive point for me that the UAAP keeps on doing this. And we seem to have forgotten how much they have discriminated against foreign student athletes. It should not be this way. We should embrace talent. We should embrace foreigners coming in and bringing in their skills and their talent and making the league more competitive and making the league a better watch. I think we all agree, Sam Maui, na the FSAs have been good for the UAAP and for Philippine basketball.
Walang Kiambaw, walang Tamayo, kung walang ganyan.
Yes. Francis Lopez will probably be playing center if if we didn't have FSAs. Diba? He would probably be playing center because of his height. Simply because of his height. So, ako, stop it. UAAP, please, no more. Ang takot ko talaga since yung nasabi ko, since mga FSA ay rookies for the upcoming season, they might just ban FSAs from winning Rookie of the Year. Ewan, your thoughts, Maui Sam?
Ako, ang takot ko is eventually mawala ang FSAs in the UAAP. I think that would be a big disservice to the league if they decide to go in that direction. Diba? I think it has really elevated yung play. It's one of the reasons why the UAAP is the premier league in the Philippines. And it's one of the reasons why we have a Kevin Tiambao, who was a center in high school, decide to go to become a wing. And we get players like you said, si Lopez, players like Balungay, players like a whole lot of players. Kahit si Mike Phillips, diba, you could argue is playing, trying to convert to a 4, trying to be more versatile. And it's because of FSAs. Diba? And I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of the guards being recruited also abroad come from the UAAP. I think that's not a mistake because they know how to play with big players, diba? They know how to play with more athletic players. And my biggest fear, to be honest, is if the UAA, kasi we're heading into the direction that they're discriminating in awards, diba? You talked about the MVP award. Now we're talking about the Rookie of the Year award. Will that also be another award for FSAs? And it's scary yung direction that they're going to, diba? I would highly suggest that the UAP look at this. Diba? We don't want to discriminate in our league, and certainly we want to look at their the good effects that they brought to the UAAP. And I think that it would be crazy if they decide to eventually ban FSAs, much like the NCAA. That would be a very sad day sa UAAP basketball for me.
Commissioner Jai Reyes, please, if he commented in one of our podcasts in Asia Basket. Maybe he's watching now. Commissioner Jai Reyes, please, if you're able to hear us, keep the FSAs in. Stop discriminating against him. I'm hopeful for Jai. I mean, he's run a very progressive Asia Basket, so he's not afraid to invite foreign teams. I do remember Phil Basket had a lot of foreign teams also. So I'm hopeful that he's more progressive, that he tries to combat these ideas that try to discriminate against foreigners, because it's not really a good look. Sammy?
I do agree with your points. To be fair to the UAAP, diba, sinabi naman natin, kudos to them for allowing FSAs up to this point versus, let's say, like NCAA decided to remove the FSA. So sabi natin, oh, progressive sila. But then they implement some of these rule changes, yung na-mention mo nga, Gab, wherein, okay, medyo a step backward din in terms of being progressive. So sana matigil na yun. Isa ko pang naisip na rule change that they might implement, which is something that's implemented in other leagues. Height limit. Baka mamaya may height limit na rin yung FSA.
Dwight Howard had something to say about that. Remember, Sam?
Exactly. That's what I remember. So, sana hindi. Sana we don't get there. Maui had the worst case scenario na tatanggalin yung FSA. I don't think so. I do believe the UAAP will still allow FSAs. My question for you guys before we move on to my answer. Do you want to have more FSAs?
I think I've answered this question before, Sam. Ako, yes. I think we should have more. Start with two. Start with having two. We did it in
Most
the
of
past.
the teams
diba?
already have two, and we did it
Yeah.
in the past. Correct.
We did it in
yeah.
the past. I think the rule was only one of them can be in the court at one time. Ako, just have to stop that restriction. Again, I think this is been proven already in multiple pro leagues around Asia that having more imports, raises the level of competition, raises, raises the bar of development of the locals because they're facing better competition, forces them to develop, eventually trickling down and having just essentially more skilled players. Diba? We've seen it. As sabi ko nga, diba, si Dwight Howard when the Philippines lost to Chinese Taipei. Yung nagparinig siya, it's because Chinese Taipei, the Taiwan, I forgot the name of their pro league, their pro league was more open-minded on not limiting the heights of imports and not even putting restrictions into having one import but having more imports, diba? So inviting foreigners, inviting more talent, ramping up the competition. I think that is something that has to be looked at as a positive, and why I think kayong dalawa dati, hindi pa kayo sold in having two eh. But ako talaga, I've always wanted two. At least two. Having two FSAs. And not even restricted them to playing only one at a time. Have them both play. Diba? Raise the level of competition. Diba? Since one of the teams have a center already as an FSA, maybe they'll get a wing. Or maybe they'll get a forward, a point guard. Diba? So it might diversify the talent pool, might increase the product on the court. More talent is better for the UAAP. That's my opinion. Ako talaga more. Yes ako.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so I asked that because before we go to you, Maui, I asked that kasi naisip ko nga when you guys were talking, in the past, siguro there were some teams that struggled with getting even one FSA. I remember UE, there were seasons na yung UE ayaw mga ng kumuha ng FSA, di ba? Pero ngayon, it's very different now. A lot of the schools have multiple FSAs. In fact, it's been a point of discussion the entire preseason. Sino ang magiging FSA ng UST this year? And you had the same problem last year, and obviously na injury si ano, 'di ba, yung FSA nila. But I'm pretty sure most schools already have multiple FSAs lined up. It's just the norm now. So, why not? Like, I think now's the time maybe to consider bringing back the two FSA rule that we had back then. But Maui, what do you think?
Yeah, I think a very good case study is LU, 'di ba, from the previous season. I mean, you can maybe start with having two and allowing only one to play, then eventually looking at having multiple to play. But it sucks, eh, 'di ba? When you lose an FSA, it's so much important to have a good FSA to be successful in the UAAP. And a team like NU can attest to that, 'di ba? They were able to beat UP in Lasal despite not having an FSA, and they've showed this preseason that they could be a contender come next season, 'di ba? So it sucks when you lose a player in the first game and you lose all the hope for the whole season. And I think having that option to fill in multiple FSAs or maybe a reserve FSA, I think that's something that the UAAP should look at. When an FSA is ruled out for the whole season,
Yeah,
then
at the
maybe they
very
could
least.
replace another player. Kasi
Mm-hmm. I like
it
that.
levels the playing field, di ba? When you lose an FSA, you're done. You're basically done in the UAAP. The only way you can compete is if you have generational talents like Mike Phillips and maybe si QMB who only played in the UAAP for a season. Diba? There's a reason why these two guys, despite being in college, despite still playing non-professional, are being considered for Gilas, diba? Because they are one of a kind, despite being two at the moment. But that's how important an FSA is. And that's why I think at the very least, the UAAP should have a reserve FSA. If we can have reserve players for injuries, why can't we have reserve FSAs? Diba? I think that has been the case since COVID happened in the UAAP. They've allowed teams to stretch their line up to, I think, 16, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe reserve one slot for the FSA.
I love that. That's a good idea. Okay, moving on. Ganda ng conversation. If I were the UAAP, I would have games in the schools. So, I've talked about this before. Gab, we both were there in the Ateneo versus UST game inside the UST gym. The
QPAV.
atmosphere,
QPAV.
QPAV, sorry. Sorry sa mga UST people, hindi ako familiar. QPAV, um, the atmosphere was crazy. We loved the UST fans cheering for their team. I would do that again. I would continue to do that. Obviously,
Here. I love
a
it.
lot of the schools will have like maybe smaller gyms. Maybe you would say, paano yung ticket sales? Less. So, we're still going to have the big games in the big coliseums, Araneta, MOA. But at the very least, have like one game or two games in like one school. And why I thought about this, I was looking at it from a marketing strategy perspective. A lot of casuals would never line up to buy tickets to watch their team, would never buy from scalpers, or syempre ang layo, 'di ba? Imagine mo tayo nga diehard fans. Pag MOA yung game, teka, pag-isipan
Papaisip.
ko muna.
Like, no
Pag-isipan ko
way.
muna kung manonood ako. 'Di ba? Die hard na tayo sa lagay na 'yun. So imagine like a lot of the students, a lot of the casuals who are maybe interested pero not enough to like go out of their way to watch. Bring the games to their schools. Bring it to the school. Make it like a parang a teaser, a taste of what the UAAP atmosphere is like. Because I remember, Gab, when we were there in QPAV, um, a lot of people watching were in uniforms. Feel ko like, oy,
Students.
may
Yeah.
game. May
Right
game.
after class
Silip
lang
na
yun
tayo.
siguro.
Right after
Diba?
class. I think when it started, medyo empty pa eh. And then, paunti-unti, dumami yung mga tao. So, and if you're the school, alam mo naman yan, di ba? Pag may game yung team mo, lahat kayo, mag-attend na kayo ng games. Manood na kayo dun sa QPAV. Ganyan. So, it's a way to sort of build the next generation of fans for the UAAP. So, it's sustainability for like the UAAP brand. And I'm not even just talking about basketball. We could do this for volleyball, another big sport na you can sort of promote, 'di ba?
I love this.
So,
Bringing your career as a marketing professional to yung to
right?
boleros.
May crossroads may marketing background. So, and here's my point. The two of you I know, and I think this applies to all three of us. This is how we started falling in love with the UAP. When we were in elementary, the games were in the Blue Eagle Gym. I remember, doon ako sa Blue Eagle Gym sinusundo ng school bus. Tapos, maririnig ko na yung drums, dadating na yung mga players, makikinood ako habang inaantay ko makomplete yung school bus namin. You guys have told your stories about this. You guys watched UAP, and look at us now, 'di ba? Die hard fans. So this is how you build the future of the UAAP fan base. So bring the games to the schools. Tapos people will complain, paano yan? Home court. Dalhin mo sa Ateneo versus let's say Adamson. Lugi naman Adamson, home court ng Ateneo. It's fine. We're going to bring it to Adamson. Magiging home court din ng Adamson. What we're trying to do is we're trying to build yung fan base ng Ateneo dun sa Ateneo, and then let's build the fan base dun sa Adamson. So people will have each school will have their chance. So I don't think it's going to be a problem. Let's do this. Let's do this. What do you guys think?
I think this upcoming season, Sammy, is the prime opportunity to do it because the UAP, maraming kasabay na events ang
I heard.
UAP. I think
That's why I thought about it.
the schedule is a bit of a difficulty for the UAP for this upcoming season because I think the volleyball worlds are coming here, yung kasabay. I know there are other volleyball events coming. I know there are concerts happening in the big venues. I think we're having the opening ceremonies and the opening games at USTQPAF. So this is a prime opportunity. This is actually something na hindi for the foreseeable future hindi mangyari, but actually it's very realistic sa amin.
Pwede na this season. Let's do it.
Ako, I like it, but yeah, as you said, not every school has a big gymnasium, but they do have gyms that can fit a certain number of people. While yeah, it's not gonna fill a lot of not a lot of people are gonna go there, and that's not gonna fit a lot of people. But again, I think if you want to build a younger fan base, diba, grow the popularity of the league. This is one good way to do it. Perfect example, yung kami ni Mama, yung tayong tatlo, di ba? Bata pa lang tayo, na-expose na tayo to UAAP basketball right in our backyard of the Blue Eagle Gym. And I would love for every young person, every student to have that opportunity. Maui.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Di ba? Maybe you just look at the games. Di ba? You can look at the schedule naman. You can look at the games that don't need a huge venue. Di ba? Kasi it's very common when you go to Araneta or even sometimes sa MOA, and there are games na hindi huge draw. Di ba? And maybe if we do it, we take a risk with having these games sa campus, then maybe instead of forcing people to go to the venue, then we can entice people who study at that school to just watch during their breaks or after school, diba? So it's gonna be an easier draw. Kasi imagine if you're studying in UST and you have a 3 o'clock class and UST's game is 4 o'clock at MOA, diba? It's crazy. How can you get to MOA? Diba? I can attest to that. I used to cut classes just to get to be able to watch UAAP
Wag
games.
Nakagraduate ka
tularan.
naman. Nakagraduate
Wag
ka naman.
tularan.
Diba? Sorry to the teachers that I've deceived with other excuses. Thank you to the teachers who understood when I gave the real reason. But it's crazy for a student to have to resort to cut classes to be able to support the school. I know some schools encourage their students to watch games in return of going to class. I think it would be a better option if some of these games are held in campus. Maybe we can encourage teams to build bigger gyms,
Venues. Yeah.
venues in their campuses. It can also bolster the revenue of the schools, diba, from this. But I would think that maybe at the very least they should start with the preseason. Diba? They could do a preseason tournament and use the schools. That's my segue to my next if I were the UAAP. If I were the
Wow,
UAA,
Maui, just to I had that also. So grabe, great minds think alike talaga kasi I also had something similar. So I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
diba? If I were the UAAP, I would do preseason games. Maybe for half round robin or around one round robin just to kasi if other leagues like sorry to say other leagues like Pinoy Liga and Phil Oil make a lot of money, draw a lot of people to watch games. Why can't the UAP have an official preseason league? Diba? It's gonna bolster popularity and it's gonna reduce the months that we guys we the crazy basketball UAP crazy people have to wait. If we have a preseason league, I think that could bolster more yung popularity. And in conjunction, maybe we could do that. We could do that in schools. So I know teams have preseason, unofficial preseason games. Like we know that teams UP, let's say, plays preseason games in their gym against other UAP teams and PBA teams or even KBL teams. Ateneo does the same. Lasal does the same. I'm sure Adamson also does the same with other schools. All of these schools have unofficial preseason games. So why can't we have something official? So that we can have instead of the people talking about the UAAP for only a few months, it can be a whole round thing. Di ba? Big Father Martin's Cup can be a bigger draw or some other leagues can be bigger draws if the UAP makes it official. But that's just me.
I agree. I do wanna add to this point because I had it on my list. Napag-usapan ko to with a few foreign friends kasi we were talking about the podcast. They were comparing the UAAP versus like the NCAA in the US. And they were a bit shocked na sabi nila, really like I know the Philippines loves basketball, so why is like the college league only running for like 2 months or 2 to 3 months? So medyo nagulat sila, and they only play basically like what 14 games for the UAAP. So that was a bit of a shock for them na ganun lang kaunti yung games. I agree with what you said. Maybe I do understand there are other sports that the UAP has to work with to highlight. Scheduling is also an issue. So I also thought about preseason games. So I agree with what you said. And you know what's it's going we can schedule it during the summer pag walang school kasi para may time sila to play. And you just call it the summer league. I mean, it's already there. The NBA Summer League is already there. So I thought like
I like
why not
it.
just call it the UAAP Summer League, 'di ba? So yun lang. I just wanted to add to Maui kasi that was the third one on my list. Gab.
This is the reason why I really love this segment, because I actually did not think of this. And I'm so disappointed in myself that I did not think of having preseason games. Diba? Ang galing, ang galing. The UAB should just hire us. You know, they just hire us as freaking advisors to something. Just I mean, they could grow. They have
Baka
such a good.
naman. Na joke
They
lang.
have such a good product. Eh. I mean, obviously, well, medyo biased tayo because we're obviously hardcore fans. But the games are really good. They have each team has their own specific fan following. Diba? Why not grow it more? And I love the preseason games suggestion. It will probably hurt the brands of Phil Oil and Pinoy Liga and of Asia Basket, but I mean, UAAP has has the clout eh. Sila yung priority eh. So if the UAAP says you're gonna play, says to UP, says to NU, says to Adamson, hey, guys, you have to play in this preseason tournament. Not even a tournament. These are the preseason games. So, para sa akin, G ako dito. I mean, just look at how much we craved for an Ateneo Lasal game in March in Moro. How much we raved about it. How much we enjoyed it. Imagine if we can have more of that. And it doesn't even have to be the full lineups yet. It can be even be some of their from the previous season along with some new recruits. Doon natin makakuha, uy, may bagong recruit ang Ateneo. Sino to? And then, diba? Ang galing. I love it. That's why there are three of us and not just me.
Okay, moving on. Gab.
I do have a few, but I think the next one on my list of if I were the UAAP is to copy FIBA with regards to how they do reviews. Because watching FIBA
I like
basketball,
that.
ang ganda ng way that they do reviews with the referees. It's quick and you can understand the ref's logic. Diba? You can understand where the refs are coming from.
Kasi
You
mic'd
can
up
understand.
sila.
They're mic'd up. They discuss in front of the monitor. We can see what they're actually reviewing. And ang ganda because you see the logic in what they're saying. Diba? Hey, this is a normal basketball action. Sorry, in the accent of foreign. Saray kasi
Yan
ako
ka
for...
na naman sa accents mo eh. The Sultan
diba?
of accents.
Diba? Sabihin nila, this is a normal basketball play. We move on. This is a normal foul, not unsportsmanlike. And you see it parang, okay, I see where they're coming from. Sa UAP kasi hulaan eh. Diba? The referees go to a monitor. The entire crowd and the TV audience does not know what they're talking about. Even the announcers, the ones calling the games, they don't know what the refs are talking about. They see the replay and they'll be like, that's definitely out on this guy. But let's see what the refs say. Diba? So it's all a mystery. We don't know what they're talking about. We don't know how they're processing the play. So para sa akin, gayahin nila the way FIBA does it. It will lessen the controversies. Remember the amount of officiating controversies we've had in the past. Diba? Of coaches calling out refs, of submitting letters and protests. Diba? This will not instantly solve it, but at least give us some clarity on how refs do these things. Diba? Uh, Now, it might take a while for Filipino refs to actually be trained to on how to discuss and how to speak well. I mean, that's a new thing, 'di ba? Previously, yung privately lang sila nagdi-discuss eh. But now, they have to face an audience while they're discussing. Uh, I'm, I'm not sure how eloquent or how
Itagalog na lang nila.
Tagalog
Oh,
naman. Wala namang problema ang Tagalog eh.
But they have to explain it well eh. Di ba? Hindi ba pwede parang, si ano, Paul yun eh. Di ba? Oh, di ba? Hindi naman pwede ganun. So they have to know how to explain it well. Even in Tagalog. Di ba? So it might take some adjustment and some training, but I hope they will push through with this. I think there has been a news article that this is gonna be a point of emphasis for the upcoming season. That they are gonna adjust it this way. So
Let's go.
Yun ang isang wish list ko. Kasi ang ganda talaga ng FIBA broadcast when you actually hear the refs and how they discuss a certain play. Sam, Maui.
Yes. Unahan na kita, Sam. Yes, I loved it. I think, Gab, napag-usapan natin to right, when we started watching yung Gilas sa last window, di ba? We, as a FIBA Asia Cup, immediately, when we heard it, we all said, all three of us, this should be done in the UAAP. And my argument is, not everyone, I mean, most of the viewers of the UAAP are casual fans. Diba? Not everyone understands all of the rule book, all of the rules, all of the decisions that these people make. And I think this could be also a good education material for the UAAP and its casual fans. Diba? It's gonna be easier for people to understand what's happening in the game, and it's gonna be a continuous cycle of educating all of these casual fans so that we can lessen the violent reactions. I think that's the biggest thing, diba? Kasi when you watch the game live, you see how people react, diba? You see and hear how people react, and you know that if we are better educated in terms of the UAAP rulebook, if we get a better explanation and we get a better idea of these calls, then there would be less people who react violently, and I think that would also lessen yung maybe yung away, yung bickering of the different schools in the UAAP, and would be better for the league.
I agree. For me, yung three things provides yung clarity, sabi mo, Gab. I agree with what Maui said also. Educational. So, in relation to like attracting like the casuals or making people more aware about the rules. Number three, I'm also trying to think about yung sa NBA. When NBA referees review, may sikat na referee, si Bill Kennedy, I think.
I love him.
People
I love
love
him.
his reviews. Kasi meron siyang dramatic pause eh. Parang, the ball was out. But, parang biglang may but siya and then like, he'll
Naging source of
swerve.
entertainment.
Exactly. So again, entertainment value, making the UAP even more interesting. Because right now, we hate the review process. But if we do it like this is interesting. I'm staying tuned to this. I'm not going out, getting a snack, grabbing a drink. Diba? I'm focusing on this. So, I think
Yung
this
think
is
ko lang sa NBA way of doing it, Sammy, for me, it takes too long eh. Because they discuss with the
Matagal.
review center, then they go
Yeah.
to the mic, and then they say their logic. So it takes amount of time. So yung sa FIBA, sabay-sabay na.
Live.
Once,
Real time.
live na.
Real
Once
time.
they're
Yeah.
viewing the play, I think with the fourth ref on the sidelines, while they're discussing the play, we already know what they're thinking. They don't have to go and explain it to a wider audience. We already know what they're thinking. So yun para sa akin. And i-add ko lang this is
Hindi kailangan ng big infra din. Just to add lang, hindi kailangan ng big infra as you mentioned, Gab, di ba, yung review center.
Hmm.
If they follow
Diba?
FIBA's, ano.
Sa FIBA, it's just a monitor or monitors yung that they look at, diba? Or a monitor with different angles and views. So, in connection to this, because since we're talking about officiating and reviews, if I were the UAP, please allow challenges for fouls. That has been one of my pet peeves ever since they introduced challenges. They they cannot challenge fouls, and I'm like, what the hell is a challenge for? That's one of the things you want to challenge, a foul. That's one of the more common things you want to challenge. As far as I can remember, most of the challenges, or I don't think I've seen a challenge other than an out of bounds in the UAAP. I don't think I've seen one. I don't know if you guys can recall one, but I don't think I've seen any other challenge aside from an out of bounds play. But fouls should be challenged. I have no idea why they're not allowed to challenge fouls. I don't know. I don't know what the logic is behind that, but that's something for the upcoming season. I hope we can challenge fouls. It's probably the most called call in all of basketball, the foul, and yet we teams cannot challenge it. So yun para sa akin, that's a small thing, but I think it can be big for the coaches.
That's a good point. Siguro just to put on the UAAP cap, try to explain it. Baka like fouls are a bit may tendency na it can be subjective. It's sort of harder to parang may gray areas, not as black and white as
And
let's
that's
say an
why,
out of bounds play.
Sammy, you in conjunction with the reviewing, now you're hearing their logic behind it. That's why I want them to challenge fouls. Diba? If we hear the logic behind it, the subjective part of the refs, then we understand. Kasi ang mahirap na when we challenge a foul and then we don't know what they're thinking and then they say, oh, it is a foul. It's like, what? It's all ball! Ganun, di ba? Pero hindi natin narinig na, okay, he bumped his body, he went from point A to point B, he jumped into it, he might have gotten all ball on top, but he got some body at the bottom. If they said that, di ba, we would know that yun yung subjective part of calling a foul. Di ba? So, I think both of my suggestions go hand in hand. Diba? So, yun para sa akin. I think it will create a better product. At yung nga, as the two of you said, it would really inform the audience and the fans.
Oy, I can't believe we're almost hitting 1 hour for this episode. So, siguro just a quick throw of like any other ideas before we end the show. Gab, I think you had an idea we were talking about prior to this episode.
If I were the UAAP, I would be open to the idea of a guest team. They did it in high school football. They had guest teams. So why not introduce a guest team?
I like this. This is interesting.
Diba? It's gonna be interesting. Doesn't have to be someone from the NCAA because magkasabay ang seasons. Can be someone who does not play during the UAAP season. Someone from Cebu, someone from Mindanao, someone from another league in Manila. Diba? Introduce a guest team. Add that wrinkle. Who knows? Baka pala magaling. Will upset. Again, it will help the popularity of the league, draw more fans from this region or from this specific section of of a school, specific fan base, diba? So these smaller schools do have a fan base. So expansion might not be the most logical thing. Not logical, but the most
realistic.
how should I say? Yeah, the most realistic thing right now. But if guest team, I mean, just one team from one school. It doesn't have to be a whole school system being integrated to a UAP. It's literally one team to play for 4 months. So for me, it's something that the UAP can definitely think on. Diba? I mean, we've had these 8 schools for the longest time. I think it's high time we introduce a wrinkle in it. We introduce another team, another school. I don't know. I just thinking off the top here. They already did it. They already did it with Claret and Southridge in high school. So what's stopping them from doing it in UAP basketball?
I love this idea. May precedents na nga nagawa na din nila before. Um, maybe they can partner with Pinoy Liga kasi this is sort of like the idea of Pinoy Liga, the big dance ng Pinoy Liga, inviting schools from other parts of the country, give those schools exposure. Uh, it would be interesting. It would be interesting. Pero siguro like we don't have to talk about it. I'm just curious regarding expansion since nabanggit mo no. Like why is it na walang sumasaling new schools? Like, more or less, ito na yung schools for the longest time. Mataas ba yung parang, marami bang barriers to entry? Kasi technically, marami namang iba pang universities, di ba? I'm just curious kasi ang tagal nang ito lang yung teams eh.
I Maui, I'm not really sure yung what's the answer here. No? Maybe we can invite someone from the
Yeah.
UAP to.
Yeah, or comment down below
Actually-
kung merong nakakaalam. No?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I was just curious. Anyway, yeah.
I think kasi for you to enter the UAP, one, you have to be a university to be classified as a
Mhm.
university. So,
Obviously, yeah.
and I think you have to have a certain number of sports programs. So that comes
Right.
mas maraming funding from the school
Right,
mismo
right.
to have
That's
more
interesting.
of these teams,
Right.
varsity teams. It can't be only you join volleyball and basketball, and then you're part of the UAP.
Of course.
That's not how it goes, diba?
Hindi parang
Well,
Olympics.
so I think you have to join a certain number of events, not all. I mean, kahit naman sa current UAAP, hindi naman lahat ng teams sumasali sa lahat ng events, di ba? So, I think yun, uh, I'm not sure about the money issue, if they have to contribute a certain amount or may share sila or whatever. I'm not really sure about that. Again, the UAP rules and bylaws are not published, so we don't really know. So,
If you were the UAP, publish the laws.
I think we said this in our
Yeah.
last iteration of if you were the UAP, yung this type of episode. Hey, they did publish stats. They did have online stats. So at least it progress from our suggestions, diba? So I don't know. Maybe we could at least publish the rule books and bylaws so that we're all informed about it.
Yeah, I think a very easy explanation is barriers to entry talaga. Diba? The requirements are probably so stringent. Maybe the other schools also don't want to introduce, diba? I think one of our commenters said that every UAP school earns 100 million per season. So I don't know if that's true. So maybe that's one of the reasons also. I think the only person that could probably answer that is somebody on the inside. Kasi if you look at history, a lot of teams, so many teams, San Beda, Letran, all of these teams, I think, I'm not sure if San Beda is already a university, but a lot of teams want to get into the UAAP, but it hasn't been entertained. Diba? So I would think that there is a very big barrier to entry, and hopefully it's something that they look into. Diba? I think expanding the league is something that they should look at. As Gab mentioned, it's been a while since the UAP welcomed a new team. I don't even know what the last team the UAP entertained to enter. Ateneo ba? Ang last
I
team?
think it was
don't know.
Ateneo and Lasal, hindi ba?
It could
I guess.
it could be, if
Tara
my
natin
memory
mga
serves
tatay
me right.
natin, Maui. Tara natin mga tatay natin. They would know.
Di ba, maybe it's Ateneo and Lasal, and that was probably in the 80s yung Ateneo. So that was, 40 years ago. So, yeah. I mean, look at the draw that Ateneo and Lasal has brought on to the UAAP. So maybe that's something that they could look into. Especially since I think may interest din talaga from outside parties, di ba? And some big schools. So maybe, yeah, it's something that they could look into. Yun lang, I think yung my only comment dun sa if we get somebody from another region, not in Manila, I think it's gonna be a logistical nightmare when it comes to yung studies
Gets.
nung athletes, 'di ba? So maybe the preseason tournament,
Summer League.
the summer
Summer
league, 'di ba?
League.
Maybe they could start that they could experiment a lot when they start a summer league, an official summer league. Maybe they could get guest teams there and see the reception. 'Di ba? Maybe if they do official summer league games of a UAP team and somebody from Cebu or Mindanao, maybe it's maybe sumabog and they could look at doing something better. They can schedule something after. Kasi I remember I vaguely remember that before the PCCL was a bigger draw. 'Di ba? Remember when sila June Mar, sila Greg Slaughter were playing for Cebu. It was a bigger draw than what it is. What the preseason tournaments have been. And I think that's something that I crave for. Kasi I've throughout this episode I've said that we need more UAP content. We need more. It's getting pretty hard to be a fan. Imagine I'm a diehard fan of the UAP and it's getting pretty hard to be a fan when you can only tune in for 3 out of the 12 months or even 2 out of the 12 months in a single year. It's not like it used to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. I hope everyone enjoyed this conversation as much as we did. Ang dami nating mga ideas biglang naiisip ways to improve or make the UAP even more entertaining. Please do comment down below your thoughts, your suggestions, your ideas on what you want to see from the UAP, whether that's this upcoming season 88 or maybe more down the line. We'd love to hear your thoughts. We can talk more about it. Malay nyo, di ba? Makita ng UAAP, makita ni Commissioner Jai Reyes or whoever. Um, Small steps lang. If you haven't yet, please like this video. It helps us a lot. Share with your friends. Subscribe. We'll see you again next time. We'll talk more about the UAAP and the upcoming season 88. We'll see you again next time.
Umiinit
Bye-bye.
na.
Ingat.